What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Draft Report. In today's video, we'll be doing our third mock draft of the season. This one will be a post-free agency mock draft as the dust is settling on free agency. We do have a couple free agents still available, like Justin Simmons is the biggest name, but for the most part, everyone's kind of ended up signing with teams, and we are officially in draft season, less than a month away from the start of the NFL draft. So I figured it'd be a good time to update my thoughts on where I think players are going to land, what teams are going to do what, and in today's video, we will be doing trades, which we haven't done in the last two mock drafts, so we can kind of make it a more realistic mock with teams trading up and trading back and all that stuff. So let's get into it with the first pick being the obvious choice, Caleb Williams. It was pretty obvious to me since the end of the season that they would take Caleb and trade Justin, but a lot of Bears fans and just people around the league were kind of like, oh, they should keep Justin and trade this pick. But no, when you have a guy like Caleb Williams, you got to take him, and that's what the Bears are going to do. They will take Caleb, who's way more talented than Justin Fields, obviously. And you see them building up to it by trading for Keenan Allen, trading away Justin. It's the writing's on the wall. Caleb Williams is a Chicago Bear. Don't need to talk too much about that pick. We get to the number 2 pick, which I think is pretty obvious in Drake May, but there is now a lot of rumors that it could be McCarthy, could be Jaden Daniels. It seems like the league has kind of cooled on Drake May compared to when it was kind of a 1A, 1B with Caleb. Now it's like Caleb's way ahead, and then he's pooled with Daniels and McCarthy, but I don't really see it that way. I see Drake May as a clear step above McCarthy and Daniels, and I think the league might see it that way too. So I think Drake May will go number 2 to the Commanders, even with all the rumors of other quarterbacks. And then number 3, I was torn on this. The Patriots could easily trade back. They could easily, take Marvin Harrison with this pick, Joe Alt potentially. But I think they do end up taking Daniels. They're having a meeting with him today at his pro day as I'm recording this. And I just think, even though I'm not the biggest Jaden Daniels guy, I think they need a quarterback. Obviously, you see them trading Mac Jones, and they really don't have someone in there that can start games for them. I mean, Bailey Zappi isn't really getting it done for you. So I think they end up taking a quarterback, whether it be McCarthy or Daniels. I would definitely take Daniels over McCarthy, but I think number 3 is a little steep. But if they really think he's their guy, I think they do take him. And with their need being so strong at quarterback, I believe this will end up being the pick on draft night. And then we get to my first trade of the recording here, and we have the Cardinals and Vikings, a very commonly mocked trade at this point. Minnesota obviously prepared for a trade up by trading with the Texans for the number 23 pick, and I believe they're doing this to try to sweeten the pot for other teams who they could be trading up with. So I think they do it with the Cardinals here at number 4, and the Cardinals will be giving up their number 4 pick and number 71, which is a third rounder for a first-round pick, both first-round picks from the Vikings, and number 108, which I believe is a fourth-round pick. So 2 first and a fourth for a first and a third, but obviously different draft positions. And obviously, if the Vikings are doing this, they're getting a position that they really need, which is quarterback, and they will be taking J.J. McCarthy, who I am not a huge fan of. I really don't think he should be top 4, let alone top 10 pick, and he just doesn't have the tools that I would want for someone who's as inexperienced and raw as he is. I don't think he's this super toolsy guy, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're projecting what NFL teams will do, and it seems like the NFL loves this dude. Again, rumors of him going as high as number 2, which is crazy to me, but he has that winning pedigree. Coaches love him from everything it sounds like. Seems like a good dude. But he will be going number 4 to the Minnesota Vikings. He'll get to throw to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. So I like that for him. He's in a great offense there in Minnesota, and they give up a lot to get this guy. So hopefully he can be the future franchise for them. And then we get to the 5th pick, which is another trade. We actually have the Cardinals doing what they did last year, where they trade out of a pick and then trade back up to get someone they want. And this time they do this with the Chargers at number 5. So they'll be trading that number 11 pick they just got from Minnesota plus number 35, which is an early second, for number 5 from the Chargers. And they do this to take Marvin Harrison, who they would have initially taken at number 4. So they pretty much gain and a first round pick. I believe they go from 20 or from 35 to 23 in this trade, and they still get the guy they would have taken at 4. So if the Cardinals can pull this off, that would be excellent for them. I do think it's realistic because the Chargers are in a spot that could demand a very high asking price because they want. There's Marvin Harrison there, there's Joe Alt there, and the Chargers, while they could use Joe Alt, they could use Marvin Harrison. I think they could be better served getting depth around Justin Herbert and having more picks to use on players compared to just going for a superstar like Harrison or Alt. So they get that second round pick while also still being able to pick at number 11. So I kind of like it for both sides. We get to number 6 here, which is Malik Neighbors. The Giants are definitely in play for a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to be trading up because they are in with Daniel Jones' situation. I don't think it's really smart for them to go up and trade for Jaden Daniels or McCarthy. But if they fall, I could definitely see the Giants being a team to take a shot on one of them. But they get Malik Neighbors, talented receiver out of LSU, so fast, so explosive. I love Neighbors' game, and I think the Giants just need playmakers. Their wide receiver core is probably the worst in all of the NFL, so they get an immediate impact who can be a superstar at the next level. We get to the 7th pick. Skipped one there. 7th pick, Titans, Joe Alt. This would be a dream scenario for them. They obviously bring in Calvin Ridley, so it kind of solves their receiver need. So it's pretty obvious they're going to be targeting offensive line in the draft. A lot of mocks don't have Joe Alt falling to them, but because of the 4 quarterbacks going early, they do get Joe Alt, who is a blue chip offensive line prospect, in my opinion. 6'9", 330 pounds, moves well, can play low to the ground for someone who's that tall. Very refined hand usage. I mean, he is the complete package as an offensive lineman. Maybe not the most powerful, but that's really the only knock you can have on him. Good run blocker, good pass protector. Really what the Titans need to just bolster that offensive line, which they have been desperately trying to fix for the last couple years. And then we get to number 8, which you might have seen earlier, Dallas Turner. Just the most talented edge rusher in this class. Is he going to be the best day one? Maybe not, but you don't find guys who have a 6'11" wingspan and can run in the 4.3s and produced at Alabama. I mean, it's just rare to find an edge rusher like Dallas Turner. He might be a little on the smaller side, but, he still is long enough for sure to play the position. He can add some size, and even at his smaller size, he is pretty powerful at the point of attack. He can defend the run well, and he can win on all 3 arcs as a pass rusher, so I really like Dallas Turner there for the Falcons. We get to the 9th pick, which is Leatu Latu, a guy that I've really come around on. At first, I didn't really see it with him. I was just like, oh, he's just cross-chopping the entire game. But now I see it. I mean, his hand usage is just spectacular. It's TJ Watt level. It's Trey Hendrickson. It's just these guys that are technicians as pass rushers get it done in the league. Aiden Hutchinson, he's another one. Maybe not guys that are the most athletic, not the most toolsy. All of them are on the shorter side arm length-wise, but does it really matter when you're so good as a pass rusher? I mean, this dude is unbelievable getting from move to move so fluidly, and I think he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. You saw at the Combine, he moves fluidly. He's not stiff by any means. He's maybe not the most explosive out of his break, and he's not super powerful, like turning the corner, but his bend is pretty good, I'd say, and he can win to both shoulders and through the blocker. So I think he's a guy that's going to come in and be a very, very good player from day one. Maybe a Pro Bowler year one. Does he have the superstar upside of a guy like Dallas Turner? Maybe not, but do you know what you're getting with Leatu Latu for sure? And really the biggest knock on him is his age and injury history, but it seems like he kind of passed the medicals pretty well, and I don't really care if I'm getting an older guy if he's going to come in and be elite from day one. So Leatu Latu, a guy that has really risen on my draft board for sure, and someone who could definitely go in the top 10 here to the Bears, who are passing on Roma Dunze because they got Keenan Allen. I think edge is kind of a more pressing need at this point. Opposite of Montez Sweat, that could be a scary defensive line. We get to the 10th pick, and we have another trade. Again, a team trading down and then trading back up, and this is only going to be a 1-pick trade. We have the Chargers trading from 11 up to 10, and then it's a late round pick swap, 105 for 134, so pretty even on the trade value chart and everything, and they trade up that one spot to jump other bidders and get Roma Dunze. Just not a guy that really falls to number 10 in most drafts. And I think if the Chargers, he could potentially be taken for them at number 5, So if they want to get their guy and get Roma Dunze, I really like that. Obviously, they could have taken Marvin Harrison earlier in the draft, but if they can add a early second round pick and get Roma Dunze, I kind of like that better for them, getting more pieces around Herbert. So we get Roma Dunze there, a guy that can win on all 3 levels of the field, amazing contested catcher, kind of a blend of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen in a way. His route running is kind of similar to Keenan Allen, where he might not be the most explosive, but he's refined and he can get open, just by how smooth he moves. He's not super jittery like Malik Neighbors, but he can get open over the middle of the field. And then contested catch-wise, he's Mike Williams, but even better. The dude's unbelievable. Caught 75% of his contested catches on the year. Absolutely insane stuff from Odunze. Getting him at number 10 is great value here for the Chargers. And then the Jets, at that pick, they just traded down for Talise Fuaga. They brought in Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith, so they don't necessarily need a tackle right now. But Fuaga is a guy who can start at guard from day one, and then maybe when Tyron Smith inevitably retires, when Morgan Moses gets old, they're both older guys, so their career is coming to an end sooner rather than later, and they could use that replacement. But he could also be a guy that starts at guard from day one, so I kind of like that pick from the Jets. Get a versatile chess piece on that offensive line. We go to the Broncos. A lot of people have mocked them quarterback for obvious reasons. They have Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci, neither of whom are franchise options. So obviously quarterback is a major need. But I think 12 is a little steep. You have your top 3 and Daniels, May, and Williams, and then McCarthy is also off the board. So I really don't think they're going quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix could be in play here, but it seems a little early to me to go for Bo Nix. And you get my favorite corner in this class, a guy that is just awesome on the boundary out there, Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. Don't let the school fool you. This guy is a beast. People questioned his long speed. He shut that up at the combine running in the 4.3s. People questioned if he could play press coverage. You know what he did at the Senior Bowl? Locked everyone down in press coverage. He was the best player on the field at the Senior Bowl. No one could get open on him, and that's just unbelievable for a corner. And then in college, I mean, the film was unbelievable. No one got open on him. Coming down and off man, he just attacks so quickly. He's long, and he plays the ball well. So I just love him as a corner. He's my number 1 corner in the class, and I think obviously, if you know, the Broncos are my team, and I would love for them to take Quinyon Mitchell there at 12. Great pick to pair with Surtain, and would probably become the best cornerback duo in football, in my opinion. That's just unbelievable. You're going to have to win some way if you don't have a quarterback, and having 2 lockdown corners can help that. So we get to the 13th pick here, and it is going to be another cornerback, Terrion Arnold from Alabama, going to the Raiders. The Raiders just need a lot of help at corner. Nate Hobbs was good his rookie year, and now he wasn't good last year, and he's more of a slot guy anyways. They really don't have anyone on the outside. So you get Terrion Arnold, who has the prototypical size. He can run with anyone. He's twitchy getting downhill. He's great against the run. Him and Quinyon are close to me. I do like Quinyon a little more, but Terrion Arnold is still a very good player and good value at 13, especially for the Raiders, who need a corner. So we get to 14, and that's where J.C. Latham comes off the board for the Saints. Report today that Ryan Ramczyk might not be medically cleared to play this season, so that makes their need at tackle even more glaring. Trevor Penning hasn't really panned out, so they need a tackle, and even if Ramczyk somehow comes back, Latham could easily slide to guard. He's versatile. He's like 350 pounds, and he can actually move out of his stance. He's so powerful at the point of attack. His grip strength is unmatched. His anchor is good, and run blocking, he just is a mauler. He might get beat around the edge a little bit as a pass protector just because of his size. He can't really reach wide 9 landmarks a ton, but J.C. Latham is a stud, and at 14, that is great value for him as well for a team that needs O-line help. And then we get to 15 with the Indianapolis Colts, who, even though they brought back Michael Pittman, they have Alec Pierce, they still could use playmakers on that offense, and getting Shane Steichen, a guy like Brock Bowers at 15, is just unbelievable value. If you're just ranking raw talents in this class, you could honestly put Bowers at number 3. I mean, I wouldn't argue with you if you think he's better than everyone, just pure talent, taking position away. The only people that are better than him are really Caleb and Marvin. But he is a tight end. He's on the smaller side, but he is. If you just use him as an offensive weapon, he is so unbelievable. He's so fast for his size, and then he can break tackles like no one else. He's a pretty good blocker for being a smaller tight end. He's the complete package to me. I would take him well within the top 10, but it seems like the league's not valuing him in that way. So number 15 to the Colts, sign me up. That is a great pick. 16, Troy Fautanu to the Seahawks. I'm not the biggest Troy Fautanu guy, but the Seahawks did hire Ryan Grubb from Washington, and it seems like coaches just love this guy, so I think Grubb is going to want to get him in his building. But he's a guy that can move around, play guard, play tackle. It seems like the Seahawks are kind of set at tackle right now with Cross and Abe Lucas, but they could easily switch that out and go Fautanu at right tackle. But day one, he could easily play guard. I like his versatility. He is on the older side and has some technique things I don't love, but overall, Fatanu's a good player and a day one starter at both guard or tackle. So I like that for the Seahawks who need O-line help. And then we have another trade here with the Jaguars and Bills. The Jags are going to be sending pick 17 and pick 153 to the Bills for pick 28, 60, and 189. So we get the first round pick for another first and then a late second, and then we have a late round pick swap to kind of even things out. And with that pick, the Bills are going to be taking a playmaker for Josh Allen in the form of Brian Thomas Jr. I know they brought in Curtis Samuel. I know they have Stephon Diggs, but Diggs could easily be out the door next offseason, and Brian Thomas is not a guy that grows on trees. That's for sure. 6'3", ran a 4.33 in the 40, I believe. Unbelievable athlete. Maybe not the most refined route runner, but he only really has 1 year of true college production or like experience being a true starter. So I think he has the ability to run routes to a better level, and you don't find guys that are that freaky of athletes that often. So Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that I really like, and I'd be willing to trade up for him like the Bills just did, 17. We get to 18. The Bengals take Cooper DeJean. Maybe not a guy that sticks at outside corner, but I think almost any NFL team would just love to have this guy. He is an athlete. You want him to run in a straight line fast, he can do that. He's maybe not the most fluid changing directions, but he's physical. He could play in the slot. He could play outside. He could play safety. He could play in the box even. I just think the Bengals need a defensive playmaker in the secondary, and that's what DeJean is. I would kind of rather them get an outside corner, but the guys that are available right there I don't totally love. So I think DeJean is a good fit there as an outside corner or as a just overall defensive piece for the Bengals who could definitely improve that defense to help Joe Burrow out. And this is kind of assuming T. Higgins does stay, because if he does get traded, I like a receiver here, but I just don't know what's going to happen with that. So we get to pick 19, which is the Rams, and this is where the slide of Olu Fashanu stops. It's not me. I like Olu Fashanu. I think he could be a top 10 pick easily. He's an athlete, and he didn't allow a sack in college, so I like the tape. He could definitely improve in some areas, but overall I like Olu Fashanu, but it seems like teams are really high on Fatanu, Fuaga, Latham, and Alt, so it seems like Fashanu has kind of slid from that OT tackle 1-2 area to like 5-6. So 19 for a guy like Olu Fashanu is amazing. The Rams have Rob Havenstein on the right side, but their left side could definitely use some help. And you don't get talents like this at pick 19 too often, so I like that pick for the Rams. We get to number 20, which will be the Steelers, taking offensive lineman Amarius Mims. Kind of the same thing they did last year with Broderick Jones. Just a special athlete. Mims is a insane athlete. 6'9", biggest hands I think ever measured at the combine. Super long wingspan, and then he can run. He almost broke 5 in the 40 at 340 pounds. It's unbelievable how fluid this dude is for his size. He can play left tackle, he can play right tackle. He only has 8 starts under his belt in college, but you don't find talents like this. It's kind of like Brian Thomas Jr., but even more raw. He's just so freaky of an athlete that I think you have to bet on him, but he definitely is the biggest boom-bust guy maybe in the entire draft. So the Steelers get offensive line help that they need and pair him with his college teammate on the outside of their offensive line. We get to pick 21, Jackson Powers Johnson, a guy I really like. If you want a guy who can be potentially the best center in the league from day one, it is Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, there's not really many flaws with him. Is he the best athlete? No. He has short arms, but he's an above average athlete. He is an absolute mauler, and he's a young guy who doesn't allow sacks. His pass protection is pristine, and in run blocking, he gets downhill, plays with a high motor, can absolutely maul people, and I love that for the Falcons or the Dolphins, who just lost Robert Hunt. They definitely could use help at both guard or center. He'll probably start at center, but he could be a good guard as well. Pick 21 for a guy who could potentially be the best at his position within his first contract. Great value, even though it is a center. Who cares if you're getting a star level talent like that? 22, we got the Eagles with Nate Wiggins, who's a guy I like. Weighed in at 175 pounds at the combine, but ran in the 4.2s. So it's kind of hard to gauge if that's a good or a bad thing. He's very thin, but he's a super special athlete. 6'1", long arms, fluid as all get out. You just don't find guys that are that twitchy and quick in and out of their breaks at his size very often. So I like that for the Eagles. They do have Slay and Bradbury, but those guys both struggled last year and are on the older side. So definitely could use some help there at corner. We go to 23, Byron Murphy. This is kind of a fall for him. A lot of people have him in their top 15 picks. He just happened to slide down the board today, and the Cardinals pick him up at 23. This is the pick they got from the Vikings. And Murphy is he's a little undersized, 295 pounds, I believe. Short arms, but you don't find guys. I keep saying you don't find guys, but Murphy is another special athlete, Look at his combine performance. It was amazing. He had like a 9.9 something RAS, unbelievable. Just a special athlete and had production at a very major program. So it's all there for Murphy. We get to 24, and these guys always get paired together. Murphy and Newton, they're both undersized. Newton is a little more polished, I'd say. His way to win with his hands I like a little better. He can win with power a little more maybe. But he isn't the special athlete that I think Murphy is. But if you want a guy who can be better from day one, that's probably what I'd take Newton for. And the Cowboys are a team that's trying to compete now, so I like that pick there for them. Jerzon Newton pairing with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. That is a scary defensive line. We get to 25. It is the Green Bay Packers taking Graham Barton from Duke. And this is a guy who can slot in at tackle, guard, center from day one and be productive. Is he the most special athlete? No. Is he the longest guy? No. But can he be a quality day one starter? Yes. And I think that's what the Packers want, just some consistency on that offensive line. And a guy that can start at multiple positions would be great for them. So I like that pick, and pretty obvious to me that the Packers will probably target offensive line in round one. We get to 26, and the Buccaneers take Kool-Aid McKinstry. They traded Carlton Davis. They still have Jamel Dean, but they definitely need another boundary corner. McKinstry's a guy who's smart in zone coverage, physical in press, maybe not the fastest, maybe not the most twitchy, but a guy that didn't get thrown to at Alabama. The reason Terrion Arnold flew up boards is because he played so well on teams wide receiver 2, because teams did not throw to McKinstry. It just didn't happen. No one ever beat him, and I think that's a trait that gets overlooked with McKinstry. And pairing him with Jamel Dean, that's a decent cornerback room, so I like that for the Buccaneers. We get to 27, and this is a huge steal for the Cardinals. Jared Verse, a guy that seems to be slipping down boards. I don't really get why. His combine was amazing. Maybe not amazing. He looked a little stiff. We kind of knew he was stiff, but he ran way faster than we thought. He got out of his stance pretty well, and he did well in the drills. So Verse, powerful at the point of attack, gets out of his stance well. Not going to bend around the arc crazy well, but he wins with his hands in multiple ways. Decent length, and can play 4-3, 3-4. Versatile guy. So I like that for the Cardinals, who bolster their defensive line in a major way, getting Byron Murphy and Jared Verse. And if they come out of this draft, I don't care that they gave up their second, third, and fourth, I believe, in those trades. If they get Verse, Byron Murphy, and Marvin Harrison, I don't see how they're not the winners of this draft. So this is kind of a dream scenario for them. And trust me, I'm not a Cardinals fan. This is just how the board shook out. So if they end with that, that would be an amazing draft for them. Probably unlikely, though. And then we get another trade here. The Jaguars are trading pick 28 to the Denver Broncos for our sorry, said our because I'm a Broncos fan, for the Broncos third round pick, a next year's second, and I believe that is a sixth or seventh round pick at 207. And the reason the Broncos do this is to get their guy, Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. They trade up. They weren't going to get him at 76. They might have been able to wait a little longer, but why wait if you trust in him? They get that fifth-year option on a guy like Bo Nix, who I think Sean Payton will just like. Not a guy that has some rocket arm, but he can test all levels of the field. He throws with good touch. And is accurate to all three levels. His deep ball is maybe not great, but he gets it done. And short and intermediate areas, he is so accurate. Getting past one read, he's not great at, but Sean Payton's offense, you don't really need to be. So I kind of like him in that style of offense, and I kind of have a feeling that that is who the Broncos will be rolling with at quarterback to start next season. 29, the Lions take Kamari Lassiter. I'm not a huge Lassiter guy. He's kind of undersized. He's not the fastest, but if you want a guy who plays with the highest motor on the field at all times, that's who you're getting. And I think Dan Campbell will just love that bulldog mentality that Lassiter plays with. He flies around the field. He's always in the trenches, trying to make plays on the run, trying to make plays on the ball, and he gives his full effort on every play, and that's something you can't teach. So Lassiter as a quarterback 2 next to Carlton Davis, I kind of like that. If you're expecting him to be a star quarterback 1, I don't really like that. He's a guy that can play in the slot, play outside, versatile, plays good against the run, just a solid player from day one that gives it his all. Number 30, Adonai Mitchell. I love Adonai Mitchell. You just don't find guys who are 6'4" and can move like Adonai Mitchell. It's pretty special. He's CeeDee Lamb-like in his movements, and he can catch the ball downfield in contested catch situations. He has long speed that he showed at the Combine, so I'm all in on Adonai Mitchell, and the Ravens get him as kind of their outside guy to pair with, Zay Flowers as their slot guy. I like that for Lamar. And honestly, how much are they going to have to throw with Derrick Henry and Lamar together? We will see, but I like that pick for the Ravens. 31, the 49ers take Jordan Morgan. Another kind of versatile lineman, can start at tackle, start at guard from day one. Not great, but solid, guy that can play multiple positions. And the 49ers definitely need help. Outside of Trent Williams, their line is not great. So picking up a guy like him at the end of the first is good value. And then we get to the Chiefs, who I'd say it's very likely are taking a receiver. They get their pick of the kind of tier 3 receivers, I'd say. Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Troy Franklin, all guys, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Worthy, all guys that are in that potential range for the Chiefs to take at 32. I landed on Keon Coleman just because he's kind of the freakiest athlete of the bunch. Didn't run super fast, but you saw in the gauntlet that he actually got to higher speeds than a lot of the guys. I think he plays faster than he runs on a track, and he catches everything. I mean, the stats don't show it, but the highlights are unreal. This guy could catch everything in contested catch situations. And getting Mahomes, who can extend plays, a guy like this, could be scary. And I feel like no matter what receiver the Chiefs end up drafting, it's going to be like, oh, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, how did the league let Mahomes get this guy? And it's because Mahomes is that special and makes these guys look good, but there's also a ton of great receivers in this class. So I think there's really no wrong choice here for the Chiefs, but I landed on Coleman, but it could be a bunch of different guys. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.